I've always wanted to get more into the Touhou franchise. I absolutely love the embodiment of Scarlet Devil, though I still haven't beaten it on normal without using a bunch of continues. From the art to the music, it's always been the gold standard of shoot-em-ups for me. So when I saw Touhou Scarlet Curiosity available on Steam, I was eager to review it. Scarlet Curiosity is a Touhou fan game that retains the charm of the series while swapping the classic shoot-em-up gameplay with an action RPG approach. The game has you playing as either Amelia or Sakuya as they slowly unravel a slightly mundane mystery. The story is very low stakes and it fits well with the quirky cast. Speaking of the cast, they forgot Marissa. Whoever decided to exclude her should really think about their life decisions. Anyway, Amelia and Sakuya's campaigns differ marginally, and they each unlock unique skills. While Amelia is more like an easy mode with crazy mobility options and more powerful moves, Sakuya gets points for being a time manipulating maid with a couple of subtle advantages. However, even though each character has their slight differences, it's mostly the same adventure. The real reason to play both campaigns is to experience each character's colorful dialogue. It's not anything groundbreaking, but it was certainly fun seeing how the characters interact with each other. The dialogue has that distinct Touhou tone matching the playful nature of the franchise. Mechanically, Scarlet Curiosity is a shallow yet enjoyable experience. The combat's a mix between very basic hacking and slashing, skill point management, and spell nuking. Some enemy bullets can be neutralized by your basic attacks, thereby incentivizing aggressive play. There's an addictive quality to the game that comes from its feedback loop of fighting, leveling, and looting. As your character levels up, she unlocks skills that vary from useless to overpowered. Skills cost skill points to use, which naturally regenerate, acting as a sort of cooldown system. Surprisingly, the lower level skills were often the most useful. However, this wasn't due to how much damage they dealt, it was actually because of how many invincibility frames they would provide. More often than not, I would be able to dodge powerful attacks using these basic low-cost skills. These skills would often trivialize enemy encounters, especially before the post-game dungeon. Another early game move allowed me to stunlock late game bosses. Your character can also cast powerful spells, however, you'll have to charge up your spell gauge by dealing damage before being able to use them. Anyway, levels are filled with a diverse set of enemies. Unfortunately, many enemies get reused haphazardly, resulting in skull chariots awkwardly appearing in underwater bases. Besides enemies, levels have some platforming in both top-down and side-scrolling variations. However, it's hardly worth talking about. The platforming is rudimentary and very much forgettable. Generally speaking, the game is pretty easy and very forgiving. Death just brings you back to the start of where you were in the level, while taking a % off of your mostly useless in-game money. The game's currency is only used at a single store that rarely has anything worth buying. In turn, this essentially destroys any real weight to dying. The real highlight of the gameplay comes in the form of the boss fights. Though it's often on the easy side like the rest of the game, there are a couple of late game fights that were very engaging. The simple joy of skillfully dodging attacks and dealing damage maintained my interest throughout these encounters. Regardless, it was generally underwhelming as the number of great boss fights was easily overshadowed by the more forgettable ones. Scarlet Curiosity provides a solid chunk of content, though your mileage may vary depending on how you approach the game. If you're looking for a well-made experience with a high skill cap, you're going to be sorely disappointed. It's just a game that really excels in simplicity and addictiveness. Scarlet Curiosity doesn't really have that easy to learn, tough to master quality that many games strive for. Instead, it's much closer to being easy to learn, easy to master. Even its addictive quality fades away after a while. Eventually, I just ran past a lot of the enemies. Nonetheless, it's just a cool adventure with a lot to do and a fun storyline. The game lacks in mechanical substance, but I still really enjoyed it despite that being the case. However, you might want to take that with a grain of salt because I might have just become a devout Touhou fan. Regardless, this is definitely what I consider to be the video game equivalent of comfort food. Presentation-wise, Scarlet Curiosity really has its ups and downs. In-game, the character models look very low quality and dated. The realistic environments contrast way too much with the Touhou anime girl cast, giving off a very jarring feeling. The character portraits seem to be made by an amateur, but funnily enough, that fits with the series as Zune has never been that great of a sketch artist. Don't get me wrong though, I love that part of Touhou as it's as funny as it is endearing. In the visuals department, Scarlet Curiosity definitely could have done with some polishing. At the very least, the beginning and ending CG pictures look pretty nice. Musically, the game does a good job at providing remixes to well-established songs from the mainline games. I've always been drawn to ZUN's arrangements, so hearing it here is something I welcome with open arms. The game was originally released on the PS4, and with its Steam release, it has a new bullet hell mode and the ability to support the glorious 4K resolution. Unfortunately, playing the game in 4K is underwhelming, as the game was never a looker. Also, in 4K it seems to be capped at 30 FPS, which looked insanely choppy for some reason. Most bosses are unchanged in bullet hell mode, and even the hardest boss wasn't much of a problem for me. I posted a video of my fight with Flanra in bullet hell mode where I show off my special technique. Scarlet Curiosity is a pretty fun game that acts as a sort of gateway drug to Touhou. With its low level to entry, easygoing banter, and simple gameplay, it's a great way to get into the franchise. The game also caters to fans as the dialogue calls back to past events, while doing a great job at portraying the vibrant cast of characters. It's a game I'd recommend to fans and newcomers alike, but don't go in expecting something it's not. Though it's an easy game to rip apart with critique, I found it strangely endearing as I finished the game to almost full completion. Thanks for watching the review. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. I wrote the original review for DarkStation, and a review copy was provided. If you want more, here are some of my other videos. Anyway, I'll see you all next time when I review Hello Kitty Roller Rescue for the Nintendo GameCube.